I'm going to talk about culture, of course. The culture of being. Now, what is the culture of being? For me, the culture of being is sharing one's past for someone else's future. When I first arrived in a country that spoke a different language, here I'm going to talk to you in terms of heroes, okay? So the first time I arrived in a country, I met a daily life hero. When you go to a country and you can't understand them and you can't talk about what you know because you can't speak the language, you're in a state of panic. And I was in that position for several months. Simple chores like going to do the groceries became a challenge. Your whole being is turned inside out. People say that that's cultural shock. One day I wanted to buy fish. Now, how simple is that? Buy fish. So I go to a fish shop, and I see this whole array of fish. All of them I'm not familiar with. But there was one fish that looked, a little bit like our trubok. So I pointed to it. And finally, after some signs, the person understood what I wanted, the seller, and he happily picked up the fish and started to pack it up. So I said, no. Now, he was puzzled. He thought I chose the fish. And, but I'm used to buying fish, first poking it, prodding it, pry open the gills to verify the freshness. Don't you do that? Right, of course. I'm not going to pack up a fish and not know what he put there. Fish from 2 months ago. But I couldn't explain to him what I meant. So I was reduced to pointing behind my ear. He didn't get it, of course. So I folded back my earlobe. He still didn't get it. So out of desperation, I started flapping my earlobes, intently looking at him to get some sign of, of understanding. Suddenly, all hell broke loose. He took the fish and he dumped it right back to where he picked it up. And his facial expression of confusion changed to anger. I was mortified, to say the very least. I looked around me, and of course there's a line. I'm holding up a line. And people didn't look very happy too, either. A man stepped out of that line, and he went to the front. And suddenly everything was fine. I learned that flapping one's ear repeatedly meant, for that culture, it meant saying, "Are you stupid or what?" You see, and I learned very quickly that one man's culture is another man's shock, right? And the daily hero is that man who stepped out. So I'm going to go on to fantastic heroes. What are fantastic heroes? Fantastic heroes. I've lived away for a long time. 40 years, to be exact. Some of you haven't even seen your 18 years, maybe, 20 years old. So 40 years. In my lifetime, I've lived in 4 countries and 4 different cultures. You would think that my Sarawakian culture would be all mixed up, all crazy. It's true. Some people think I'm crazy, but that's fine. I don't mind being crazy. I don't mind being a nut if it's for a good cause. And I am mixed up sometimes for small matters, like, wondering, what is stinkier, the blue cheese or the durian? But I can't answer. Nobody can tell me. But today I'm standing in a place in my life. I'm full of gratitude, grateful for the knowledge, grateful for the experience that these 4 countries and these 4 cultures have given me. It's fantastic. It's like having 4 sets of glasses. Each set of glasses show you life through a different angle, a different dimension, a totally different aspect altogether. I want to show you. Fantastic 4. It's not that I'm one of them, but how can the thing replace the invisible woman? How can the invisible woman replace the human torch, etc., etc.? It's not possible. And in these past 40 years, being away, I realized that the culture of being is adding on another culture to one's own. When we do that, we amplify our own. If we replace another culture, if we replace our culture with another culture, we diminish our own culture. But I'm going to talk on now about real life heroes. Real life heroes is about people who inspire us. This is one. This clipping I've had for over 10 years. I stick it in front of my desk. She inspires me. Her name is Shaito Iglesias. Now you look at this person, she wears shoe size 2.5. She sells newspaper for almost all her life. And every year, year in, year out, she watches the marathon, marathon, every year. And one day, she said, I want to join the marathon. And she says to all her children, I want to join the marathon. They think she's crazy, but she said, I want to join the marathon. And she did. You know what age? 80. She started running at the age of 80. It's incredible. She has 2 children, 15 grandchildren, 30 great-grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren. And it was one of the great-grandchildren who started teaching her about exercises, carrying tiny weights to start with. She has gone on to win medals after medals after medals. And in this picture, in the newspaper, it says she's still running at the age of 55. And at the age of 55, she was even the torchbearer for the Olympics. So now I'm going to move on to one other real-life hero. This man is born in 1920, 10 years after Shaito. Welfare, social welfare, is his marathon. He has pioneered organizations for the homeless. He spoke up for the needy, for the handicapped. He taught himself 7 foreign languages. He's a writer, and the substance of his writing is a lot about our culture. This incredible man, what is his culture of being? Shaito, her culture of being was to inspire, to motivate. This man, his culture of being changed lives. This great man is my father. But we have a problem, and it's a serious problem. He doesn't remember anything anymore. He doesn't remember much anymore. He doesn't remember having studied in Australia, because he was one of the very, very, very first to be sent. He doesn't remember having studied in Wales. He doesn't remember much of the 7 languages that he has learned. Can you imagine a little bit? To forget. He doesn't remember. In the past 5 years of living with him, I came back 5 years ago. In the past 5 years of having lived with him, my roots have deepened no end. 2 years ago, he said to me, Marian, I don't know how to grow old. My parents died before my age today, and I have no examples to follow. By the way, this is his dynasty. 8 children, 19 grandchildren, 23 great-grandchildren, and counting. I'm daughter number 7. And this is what he said. I don't know how to grow old. I think that this quote sums up the culture of being. It is to share. It is to set an example, an experience, a cultural knowledge to the person stepping right behind you, just before you, so that that person will have a sense of comfort, a sense of security, a sense of well-being, a sense of belonging, because you set the sample. Culture of being is sharing one's past for another person's future. You today, my dear young generation, you are the future heroes. You will be the future heroes for your children. You will be the future heroes for your grandchildren, great-grandchildren, 10, 20, 30. Nobody knows. Because if there is no culture of sharing, there is no culture of giving. Today, I stand here, and not only am I bursting with urgency to share this idea of sharing your culture. Many, many people ask me, why are you so passionate? Some call it obsessed. This is fine. Obsession is not always bad. Why are you so passionate about sharing your culture? You know, it's such a simple question for me. And you know why? Because I am terrified. I am terrified that I will forget. I am terrified that if I forget, you know, to forget is to be left in the dark. So thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me. And I hope that you will turn next to the person next to you. Please don't do that. You turn next to the person next to you, and you can be the future hero. But you can also be one of these people. Everybody knows what it's like to be in a crowd, a daily life hero. You can share. You can give. You can share with your communities, with your schools. The traveler. Because the person who stepped out of the line to help me in that fish shop changed my life. Helped me in my life. If not, I would have been continuing hurting people, insulting people. So lest we forget, share your culture. Thank you.